The federal government debt ceiling is expected to lead to a standoff between the president and the House of Representatives. It could mean potential cuts in discretionary spending for federal agencies. Bob Cusack is editor-in-chief of The Hill. Bob, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mimi.
So have lawmakers indicated which agencies they will look to cut spending or which programs could be slashed?
Well, House Republicans are the driving force for spending cuts, and they haven't exactly outlined what cuts they want. Now, the White House and Democrats in Congress are saying, listen, we just need to do a clean debt ceiling. We've done that something like 78 times since 1960 under Republican and Democratic presidents. And Republicans are saying, listen, we just want to come to the table. There is concern about the Defense Department among Republicans. They don't want to cut, a lot of Republicans do not want to cut Pentagon spending, but that could be part of the deal. So that's where that could divide Republicans. But as far as other details, look for that in the coming weeks.
And what about support for Ukraine? Have Republican leaders signaled any change in the level of financial support for Ukraine?
Well, top Republicans have said we're not going to write a blank check. They're going to do more oversight on Ukraine. But I do believe there's enough support in Congress, even with the House new House Republican majority, that they're going to be able to pass it. But is there going to be drama? Absolutely. This is a situation where the White House is saying we're going to keep giving Ukraine money as long as it takes. Republicans, however, are going to be doing some oversight on how those funds are spent. But I do think that by and large, the Congress, at least this one in the short term, is going to be continuing to support Ukraine.
And House Republicans are also putting their focus on IRS funding. So what are some of the proposals out there right now?
Well, the IRS is something that Republicans really want to target. They want to eradicate the 87,000 IRS employees over the next decade that were in the Inflation Reduction Act. So they want to basically repeal that part of the law now. Of course, that's a non-starter for Democrats who say, listen, the more IRS employees we have, the more we can go after tax cheats and people who haven't been audited. And they say that they're going to target the wealthy. However, Republicans are going to be doing oversight on that as well to make sure that's the case and that they don't go after middle-class families. So the Inflation Reduction Act of 87,000 employees, this really could be a sticking point going forward. It could actually lead to a government shutdown.
And House Republicans are also promising to hold investigations. So what are you expecting on that front that could impact federal leadership?
Well, they're going to be doing a lot of oversight on COVID funds and specifically fraud in that area. So that obviously affects a lot of government agencies. That's what Republicans, they're going to have a tough time legislating because they don't have a large majority. They have a slim majority. But I think they're going to be looking at a lot of government agencies, what they spent, and fraud that has been in the system and has been reported by media outlets, and really exposing that.
And Secretary Mayorkas, has been a target of House Republicans. How likely is that going to be, the hearings on a possible impeachment?
Well, Mayorkas is definitely going to be grilled many times on Capitol Hill by the new majority. There's a lot of talk and legislation that would impeach Mayorkas for his job that he's done so far. Republicans say it's inadequate, and Democrats want open borders. Democrats say that's not the case, but there's definitely a border problem. And Democrats and President Biden has shifted a little bit since the election. Do I think Mayorkas is going to get impeached? I don't think so, because Democrats are not going to vote to do that. And I think enough Republicans, we've talked to a few more moderate Republicans who say we should be focusing on the economy, not impeaching a cabinet member.
And some House committee assignments are still being agreed upon, but have there been any changes that have been striking to you so far?
Well, there's some very conservative members on the Rules Committee, and that Rules Committee is very powerful, kind of inside baseball, but it decides what bills come to the floor. And so these were a few of the critics of Kevin McCarthy during that long speaker fight. And there's also new committee assignments on the weaponization of of government. That's a new committee that's going to be headed by Jim Jordan. That's one to watch. That's going to be focusing on a lot of different government agencies, and that's a controversial panel. Democrats say it's going to be way too partisan and just plain politics.
And you mentioned this earlier about certain disagreements leading to a possible government shutdown. That doesn't make anybody look good. Both parties typically don't come out looking good on that. Likelihood? I mean, is that possible? Probable?
I think it's possible. It doesn't look good. Remember, Kevin McCarthy is going up against a lot. He's going up against a Democratic-controlled Senate, a Democratic-controlled White House, and he's got his far right that he's got to watch. And moderates are also powerful, because if they have 5 or 10 Republicans who don't want to do something, they can stop legislation. So nobody wants a government shutdown, but at the same time, Kevin McCarthy is going to be under enormous pressure to eradicate that part of the IRS part of the Inflation Reduction Act. And I think it's, it could be 50-50. We're headed for a government shutdown.
And very quickly, diversity. What's going on with the new Congress on that front?
Well, the diversity in Congress has certainly gotten better over the years, but at the same time, it's not very diverse. We're seeing a lot of white old men still on Capitol Hill, and that's going to be the case. Certainly, the Republican Party is less diverse than Democratic Party, but they've been making strides in that area, and they had a number of minorities who ran and won this time around. But it's something that certainly there needs to be more diversity, and both parties say they're working on that.
All right. Well, Bob, thanks so much for joining us. We'll certainly watch what happens.
Thanks, Mimi.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future Government Matters interviews.